Listeners, my name is Shannon Cooney from Merrick Property Group Real Estate Agency and a very proud sponsor of the Para Cave podcast. If you own a property in the Penrith LGA or Lower Blue Mountains and would like to know what it's worth in today's market, give me a call on 0421 588 445.
Broadcasting live from the Para Cave. Hello and welcome to another bumper episode of the Para Cave podcast. My name is Troy Warner and I'll be your host this week and every week. And there's only a few more episodes this season to go of this year. So today it is episode 117 and this week, temporarily stepping away from the 75th anniversary of the Eels in the competition. And this interview is not with an Eels player or a fan, but I'm bringing you an interview with a player who is a fan favourite. He is also a premiership winning player with the West Tigers in 2005, and that is Mr. Liam Fulton. Now, during the chat with Liam, we talk about early rugby league memories, including his favourite team growing up and players, also representing Australia on the Schoolboys tour. For his first grade debut, love hearing about those stories. The prelim final against the Dragons in 2005, and of course, the 2005 Grand Final. From those highs to being squeezed out of the Tigers to play in England for Huddersfield, back to the NRL and representative football playing with the All-Stars and also City Origin. Something that Liam suffered a little bit during his career as well, head knocks and concussions. How it affected him whilst playing, and also his thoughts on the issue today in the NRL, retirement and life after footy. Also, there is a little bit of a chat about the Tigers in 2023 with the new coaching structure of Tim Sheens, Benji Marshall and Robbie Farah at the helm. Obviously, Tim was a coach back in 2005 with the Tigers, and Benji and Robbie were Liam's teammates at the time as well. So he has his little thoughts about how the Tigers will go in 2023 with those three at the helm, along with the usual, some common league questions, and also the personality set of 6 questions, and so much more, so much to get through, so much to listen to. All brought to you by major sponsor Jack's Pale Ale, exclusively available at Parramatta Leagues Club in the club shop. Also, a shout out to co-sponsors Shannon Cooney from the Merrick Property Group, the Stubby Club. So, listeners, for the best present for that sports fanatic in your life. And with Christmas not far away, the Stubby Club has a huge range of sports merch and gifts to choose from. And now it is the time to head to thestubbyclub.com.au and use your Paracave discount code at the checkout and you'll get a 10% discount. And also Bo Cook from Loan Market, your local Penrith mortgage expert. From everything from first home loans, refinancing and your current home loans and more, Bo Cook and his team, he is the man with the help and the answers. How do I know? Well, Bo has helped myself and my lovely wife Amanda with a home loan. So we have that personal experience of what Bo and his team can do for you during these difficult financial times to get the best deal for you. And to get that best possible deal, you can contact Bo on 0401 213 236. Get in contact with him today for a free chat and see what he can do for you, and let him know that you heard it here on the Paracave podcast. Thank you to all the sponsors with your support. It helps the podcast grow and reach much more people, which is much appreciated. But enough of me talking, let's get into the chat with Liam Fulton. I know that's what you've been hanging out for, not me yabbing on all the time. So anyway, let's get into the story with Liam and listen to his rugby league and life story. So as Hindy says,
get a beer, coffee, whatever you want.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy, and let's get straight into it.
Hey, it's Liam Fulton here, 2005 premiership winning player with the West Tigers. Just about to have a chat with Troy on the Parramatta Cave podcast.
And as you heard from his intro, my guest today on the Parramatta Cave podcast is a former professional rugby league player playing in the NRL for the West Tigers. Also played in the English Superleague for the Huddersfield Giants, but also represented New South Wales City, also the NRL All-Stars as well. He's a life member of the Tigers and also won their Best and Fairest and Players Player awards. Probably the highlight of his career, and no doubt we'll talk about it during the chat, is a premiership winner with the Tigers. A player I watched play his whole career. He was known for his toughness and for him being a larrikin and a jokester off the field as well. Welcome to the Parramatta Cave podcast, Mr. Liam Fulton.
Thanks, Troy, mate. Happy to be here.
Not a problem. Now, thanks for joining me. Now, born in Westmead, New South Wales, what was it like growing up? And was it rugby league that you played, or was it all sports that you were interested in?
No, mate. Well, basically, everything I did was just footy, I suppose. I have two older brothers that I grew up with in Marylands. So, mate, it was just basically footy from the get-go. So, yeah, mate. Footy, a bit of athletics in the summer. But, mate, in the winter was, mate, just basically footy and just bash me brothers up in the front yard.
Was there a team that you supported back in the day?
Yeah, I used to go for Canberra.
Okay.
So I used to love Bradley Clyde when I was younger, and obviously Brett Mullins and Ricky Stewart. Those guys are awesome, and I was lucky enough one time to meet Brett Mullins because when Sheens was coaching us up in Newcastle, he lives up in Newcastle, and he got up one day. He was downstairs having breakfast with the team, and he came up to me, "G'day, Liam, how are you?" I was like, "Mate, it blew my socks off, mate, that he knew my name." I'm like, "Oh, mate, I love Brett Mullins, so he's a legend."
Oh, yeah, definitely. I've had him on the podcast before. Champion player, and scored some absolute freakish tries, that's for sure.
Oh, best to watch.
Now, before we get to the NRL, you were chosen in the Australian schoolboy side. What was that experience like?
That was awesome, mate. Yeah, so we had the Australian trials down there in Queanbeyan back in 2002. Old time, a long time ago there. And mate, we travel around England, and a lot of ex-NRL players: Ashton Sims, Keith Galloway, Tom Leroy Lars, Russell Aiken. Mate, we had a really good team, but we got battered a bit by the English side. They were a year older than us, so a lot of them were 19.
Okay.
And our team was majority 17-year-olds because Ashton Sims and Tommy Leroy Lars, they were big boys, but they were a year younger than the under-18s team. So you could tell that they were a lot bigger than us and a lot stronger than us. But it was a great experience travelling around England for 6 weeks.
Was any of those your roommate over there on the tour?
No, who did I room? I'm just trying. Mate, I think I roomed with a young guy, Stephen Goodhue. He was a hooker.
Okay.
I think it went in alphabetical order, and he was from North Queensland. Mate. He was a larrikin, man. He was a funny guy.
Yeah.
He actually could have made his debut when he was 17, but wanted to concentrate on school, and never made his debut after that. So he was kind of one. Yeah. So it was really strange. Yeah. So he could have made his debut at 17, but yeah. They decided to concentrate on school footy, and so he didn't. Never made first grade.
Oh, okay. That's obviously chose another path. And 2002 as well, you captained the Western Suburbs Magpies in the SG ball team to a grand final victory. Was it then just a matter of time progressing through the grades there to end up being a West Tigers player?
Oh, well, there was a lot of... We had a good crew through that 2002, and I suppose they earmarked a lot of them, a lot of us to kind of progress through to first grade. I didn't really... You never really know that you make it. Like, you have conversations with Sheensy and the recruitment guys and that, but they never... no one's ever guaranteed a spot to play first grade.
Yep.
You kind of got to... you got to earn your way up there. And a lot of us did, and a lot of us made it through. And I think now, like, now that Sheensy's back at the West Tigers, it seems like that they've kind of earmarked a lot of those young guys because they won the Harrow Mats this year and the West Harrow Mats team.
Yep.
And I believe that they kind of got that. They're saying that crew that they got now is better than what we had coming through the grades. So hopefully, there's a bit of light there for the West Tigers coming through in the next, say, 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, well, by the sounds of that, certainly there will be. I love hearing about debut game stories. Now, your first grade debut was off the bench in New Zealand against the Warriors.
Yeah.
What stood out for you in your debut game?
So I'd say about 3 or 4 weeks before my debut, Sheensy came up, pulled me into his office and said, "Mate, look, you're too small. I'm not going to debut you this year. I'll be probably looking at, say, mid 2004. I'll ease you into first grade, and hopefully, you kick on from there."
Yeah.
So basically, I was like, "All right, sweet. Well, I'm not going to play first grade, so I'll just go back to reserve grade. I'll still train with first grade and that." And then all of a sudden, 2 to 3 weeks later, Terry Hill pulled out of the. Apparently, he didn't like travelling to New Zealand, so he was always a late cut from there. So he pulled out, injured, hamstring problem, and she said, "Oh, mate, you're going to make your debut this week." And I was like, "Mate, you told me 2 weeks ago I was not, midway through, I was too small." And so I was lucky enough to go over there, and they hadn't made the semi-finals that year, so it was the last game of the year. And mate, they were a big team in 2004. Lauatiti and Clinton Tupy, they had a really good team.
Yep.
And mate, and I came off the bench and played the last 20 minutes, and it was pretty special to make my debut in New Zealand, and I was pretty happy with myself.
Not going to New Zealand sounds like someone else I know, Eric Growth Jr.
No.
He used to always try and get out of going to New Zealand because he hated going there.
Maybe I was 84 kilos playing the second row. So
yeah, wow.
The halfbacks are bigger than Cleary's probably 95 kilos. So different era.
Now, in those early days at the Tigers, along with Coach Tim Sheens, who were the other older heads that took you under their wings?
Yeah, we had a really good older crew there. I suppose progressing from 2003 when I played one game, and then a couple of games in 2004, and then playing on from 2005, but training there the whole time with all these senior guys. So we had Toddy Payton, who's doing a great job there at the Cows. We had Scandalis, LaFranchi. Heinington was kind of he's a couple of years older than me, but he was always a pretty good leader. And Mark O'Neill. So we had it, and Ben Galea. Look, we had such a good older crew there that kind of led the way, and made the standards pretty high. And they were never, I suppose, going through like Scando and Benny Galea and Mark O'Neill. They were kind of those tough nuts kind of guys.
Yep.
And demand the respect and whatnot. But that was it was just good fun to be around those kind of, because when you're younger, you're kind of watching those guys play, and each week, and then you're kind of meeting them and you become friends with them. It's really weird, but to still call them mates now, it's pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you mentioned there a couple of games, 3 games in 2004, but then things really took off for you in 2005, playing 28 games, including the grand final. Just before we get to the grand final, the Tigers win 8 out of 10 at the back end of the season. Yeah. What do you think was the turning point for that to happen?
Yeah, I don't know. We always had a pretty good. We kept the same team on the park when we won 8 in a row. We kind of had the same team on the park a lot of the time. And I think Benji kind of coming into his own. He was still pretty young, and then his combination with Princey getting better, and like LaFranchi, and we had a really good front row rotation. So we just kind of had a lot going on. I suppose just everyone kind of just played out of their skin a little bit more as well. A lot of the games were a bit tight as well, but some of the games that we really put some scores on teams. And then leading into the finals, we lost the last 2 games of the regular season. But in saying that, that's it was a kind of the Penrith game. I don't know if anyone rested or anything back then, but we really I think I still remember like Cherry Mesher, who was our trainer, like he flogged us the last 2 weeks. Like we kind of went into the game a little bit sorer. Okay. And just to kind of prep us up, I suppose, for the semi-finals, so we didn't have to do too much running, during the week, and obviously put us in good stead for the for the semis. And back then it was, fourth versus fifth kind of thing. So we finished fourth, and so we played against fifth. So it was it's pretty different back then.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it was a massive first up win against the Cowboys, and then you beat Brisbane, and then into the prelim against the Dragons, where most people thought that the Dragons would win.
Yeah.
What was that personal feeling for yourself when that full-time hooter went and you knew that you were in a grand final?
Yeah, well, mate, I was always because I was going to go away with my cousin. As soon as the season was over, we're going to go up to Queensland. And to be honest with you, I was kind of we'll probably go okay. We'll beat the Cowboys for the first one, and then Brisbane was always going to be hard. But we beat them, and my cousin's like, "Geez, are you guys going to lose or what?" I'm like, "Yeah, we're playing Dragons this week. It's going to be hard to beat the Dragons." And then Benji and the boys put on the show, and we beat the Dragons. Like, bloody hell! Next minute you're in the grand final. But it was pretty elation. Back then when you're so young and hadn't played that many games, you kind of take it a bit for granted, I suppose, thinking that because during your junior career, that was kind of normal, winning games and making semi-finals and making grand finals. But obviously, looking back on it now, how special it is to even be a part of a grand final, let alone win a grand final. So, I feel pretty grateful that, that I was able to be a part of that.
What was the grand final week leading up to the game like for you?
Yeah, mate, it was pretty bloody special, man. Like, there was a lot that went on. Like, there was a lot of fanfare. You had fan day, then you had the grand final breakfast, and there was just a lot for the week. But, we all... as a young guy, it's just, whatever. Like, we didn't, we all loved playing footy but it was never, I suppose, as serious as it is back then, it is now. Back then it was still pretty serious, but it was kind of like I don't know, it didn't really phase, I suppose, a lot of us. Yeah. As I said, Benji and Robbie, and they were used to winning games, and all our guys were, the old senior guys, man, they were a little bit nervous, looking back on it now. I still remember, Mark O'Neill. I used to room with Mark O'Neill all the time.
Okay.
An old guy. So he's my roomie, and, he probably would have been a little bit nervous. It was just a great week, and, great for the fans, and, they really got behind us. It was great.
And then to the game, when Benji threw that flick pass to Pat Richards to score that try, did you think at that point, if something like that can happen, we've won this, or we can win this? And did you feel confident that you won the game then?
Yeah,
or?
I actually, they scored first. I started off the bench and came on after 30 minutes. But the whole time, I just never, losing never came into my mind. It's like I knew we were going to win.
Okay.
I don't know. Even when they scored, because I could imagine losing a grand final, how bad you would feel. But I still remember, I just had that we're going to win anyway, so we're going to win. We smashed them 3 weeks ago, and I just always had that confidence that we're going to beat them. But when we kind of, snuck away and got that Benji, just incredible try, it's back then, man. I didn't even think of it as anything until kind of after the game, and then you're like, wow, how good that was that, it was crazy.
Does he always mention it to you when you catch up with
Benji? Never. But during... after, we always used to do the Benji Marshall flick pass, at training and that,
yep.
Us mucking around and all that kind of stuff. But, he never really says much about it, though. He just kind of, he was doing them all the time, back then. It was normal at training. That was what he used to do. He used to always try new things at training all the time.
Well, it was a surprise, wasn't it? Because the commentators said, who does that in a grand final, does something like that? But as you just said, doing it training all the time, so it's not as if something just came up. Who was the best on ground in the way of grand final celebrations?
Mate, it was... Oh, mate, I'm a pretty bad drink at the best of times. But I kind of wish I didn't drink as much, because then I could have remembered more of it, so... we all went back to Balmain Leagues Club and celebrated with family. And then, I don't know, man. I don't know. Hodjo is usually, he gets pissed off one beer, Hodjo. So he was having a real dig. It was just I don't know. It was just probably it was a good couple of days, man. That we just all had a bit of fun, and it was just great. Yeah, it's great to be a part of something like that. And as I said before, looking back on it, you take it for granted. If it was 10 years later, someone like Heino, who kind of won a grand final, lay down the track, and realised actually how hard it is to kind of get there and win one. Mark O'Neill, it took Mark O'Neill like over 200 games to to get to a semi-final, let alone win a grand final. So yeah, I probably took it for granted a little bit, I suppose.
Yeah, well, I mean, you went through those highs of 2005 and then 2006 didn't start
Yeah.
off the best, losing the World Club Challenge over there in England, but then
Yeah.
you had a serious shoulder injury in round one. How did you get through those tough times mentally after the highs of 2005?
Yeah, it was actually pretty tough, first tackle was actually my first tackle of the game in round one, off a scrum. Scandar still blamed me, mate. He knocked the ball on, and we had to go to a scrum, and so I was a bit disappointed in him. But and then having to get a Rico, it was like too many ligaments were ruptured that I had to get a Rico. So round one, and basically knew I was going to play the whole year. And then you kind of during the emotions during the year, you're kind of watching games and wishing that you could be out there, and realizing how grateful you actually are to how privileged you are to be playing first grade.
Yep.
And but to be honest, as soon as you start playing again, you start taking it for granted again. It's just it's a hard one. But I remember being out there going, okay, you can't take this for granted. Next time you're out there, you gotta really soak it in, and you just never know when it's going to finish. So, but when you start playing again, you just get into that footy bubble, and mate, off you go. This is what you do, kind of thing.
And no doubt you had a good support network around you during that time.
Yeah, man. Well, I was young, man. So, I was young. Yeah, back the mental health stuff, I was always fine. I didn't really have any issues. I actually during the year once, I must have been around 12, like mid-season, and I was like, and I didn't want to train. I was like, Mesh, I said, I don't even want to train anymore. Like, honestly, because all I used to do was rehab every day.
Okay, yeah.
So I was like, the injured people used to get flogged. They used to do weights. Then you used to do like a cardio session while everyone else was on the field training. Then you come back in the afternoon and you do another cardio session. And I was doing that like for 12 weeks straight, and I kind of had enough. Like, because you see people come and go from rehab. Like every 2 weeks they might have like a hammy, and then 4 weeks there, and then they're off, and then someone gets injured, and they're going to be my mate for the next 6 weeks or whatnot. But after about mid-season, I was like, man, I'm so tired. So he sent me away for a week. He goes, mate, just go on holidays for a week. So I just went away, went across harbour for a week and recharged the batteries, then back in for another off season, another 12 weeks stint in rehab, which was I got my shoulder right and didn't have any problems with it, for the rest of my career, which is good.
Well, then you did have a couple of good seasons playing 44 games for the Tigers, but then again, it must have been tough being squeezed out of the Tigers and having to sign with Huddersfield in the English Superleague.
Yeah, so that was a bit of I kind of found out through the papers one Sunday morning when my girlfriend and my wife now, she's like, what's going on here? Like, you go to England or I don't know. This is the first I've read of it, So they tried getting a few players over to England just to try and get the salary cap back in order, which they didn't want. Like the players they wanted wouldn't go. So Nathan Brown, who was at Huddersfield at the time, reached out to our recruitment guys, or Sheensy, whoever it was, and said, we'll take Liam for the year. And then it kind of snowballed from there. And I knew I was always coming back, because they said, look, if you go to England and relieve the salary cap for us, we'll have something waiting for you the year after. Because I was like, I don't want to. Like, I was only 24 when I left.
Yeah.
I was like, I really didn't want to go. Like, I just wanted to stay there. But in hindsight, it's kind of like a really good thing that I did. It kind of made me grow up. I was living by myself. Before, I was just living with my dad.
Yeah.
Then I had to look after myself, buy my own food, and just basically become a man, I suppose. Like, do everything I had to do. And it was only for 6 months, basically exactly 6 months. 28th of March, I got there, and I got home on the 28th of September. But the good thing is we had a lot of success there, and made some good friends there, and and I'm so glad I did, because of the way my career ended. I wouldn't have the opportunity to go to England.
Yeah.
So I'm so grateful I did get to experience it. And I had, my dad came over twice. We made the Challenge Cup final.
Oh,
so
nice.
he came over and watched that. My partner came over and watched that. And I had my cousins, I had constant people coming over, and basically having free accommodation and just travelling and doing what. So it was pretty good fun.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it must have sort of recharged yourself because you came back to the Tigers, and then in 2011 your representative career kicks off playing for the NRL All Stars.
Yeah.
Um, what was your favourite experience of that week in a team with so many superstars?
Yeah, well, back when they used to pick it, they used to have the Australian captain and the New Zealand captain. They were automatically in the team, and then they used to have a voting system for your player to play. So I think from memory, I think Gareth Ellis got picked from the voting system because they wanted him in the team.
Yeah.
But he was injured, so he had to pull out. And then they had Chris Heinington. He was he replaced him, but something happened with him. He got injured as well. And Benji said, mate, he said to Wayne, he goes, mate, get Liam up here, mate. He'll be good fun for you. So that's how I kind of got in. I snuck my way through there.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to sneak my way through there, and mate, it was great. It was such a good week, and with all these superstars and man, I was rooming with Petro Civoniceva. I'm like, mate, how good's this? I'm like, mate, I'm rooming with Petro Civoniceva, man. I love Petro. And mate, you couldn't get a nicer guy. He's like the nicest guy on earth. I'm like, man, this guy's. He goes, mate, you have the big bed. I'm like, no, mate, I'm not. You have the big bed. And he gets up early. He gets up at like 4 in the morning, eh?
Oh wow.
And he gets up real early. He's just like, man, so I was rooming with him for a week, man. We had a really good time, and he's a champion bloke.
Yeah.
But the footy was awesome. Just playing with those kind of guys, seeing how they train, seeing how they prepare, and getting to know Wayne Bennett, who you kind of, I've been watching since I was a kid, and he's the complete opposite to what you expect. He sits at the back of the bus and has jokes and wants to hear what's going on in your life. And it's just really strange. And I'm like, what's going on? Like, this is not the guy, you kind of think you know.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, obviously taking some of that from that week back to the Tigers, you then make the New South Wales City side as well to play country. Did it also help having a few other Tigers players in the City side with yourself?
Yeah, mate, it was great. Yeah, it was such a good experience. Like just being able to get those opportunities, and Brad Fittler was the coach. Yeah, we had a couple of other Tigers players in there, and Freddie was like, you kind of what you see with Freddie on TV is kind of what you get. He's really out there kind of guy, and he's he was always good to be in camp with. We had a couple of big nights. I don't know if they still do those big nights or these days, but we had a couple of big nights and just good fun with the other team and getting to know players from other teams and seeing what they do, talking about what kind of stuff they're doing, footy and whatnot. Because I didn't obviously get to play with any other teams in the NRL besides the Tigers. So I was just lucky enough to be a part of those teams.
And you represented New South Wales City the year after as well. What's a standout memory for yourself, either on the field or off it?
I remember I think it was the first game that we played, and we had a draw. I think we finished with a draw. Mate, the actual standout for me was Freddie was like, boys, mate, do you know you got to, at the end of the game, he's like, you got to actually kick field goals and he was on the 40-metre line. He grabs the ball. He goes, mate, this is how you kick a field goal. 40-metre line on the sideline. He goes, this is how you kick field goals. And he went, bang. And he kicked it straight over the post. No, we all tried to kick a field goal. Not me, personally, but the halves tried to kick a field goals during the game. And after the game, we all walked off, and he's having a chat to us, and he pitched his smile. He goes, this is how you kick field goals. And he clocked it from the sideline 40 metres out. And I was like, what the hell? It's a freak. That was a standout. That's something I always think about. God, jeez, he's such a good, such a talented guy.
Yeah, no.
But during the week, and just mate, as I said, just getting to know players from different teams, and I knew Hainsey before that, but he was a freak. Played with him. Just different. Yeah, just seeing what guys do differently, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's it. As I said, you get that experience in those rep sides, take them back to your club sides. Right. It's probably going to do a lot for the current World Cup players that are playing in the various teams. They'll bring it back. Now,
exactly.
the 2014 season, no doubt, was a tough one for you, your last one in rugby league. A series of head knocks led you to make the decision to retire from the game that you love. That must have been a really tough time, that 2014 season.
No, it was. Yeah, because I came off such a good 2013 individually. The team struggled, and I think 2014. We still had some. Teddy was in it. We had a pretty decent team. going to the season. And just that, the first head knock that I got, it kind of started a bad run, just at the time when, it started, everyone started talking about concussions, and I was kind of at the forefront of, I copped the first one, the first game of the year, so they kind of kept their eye on me. Had the week off. I'm pretty sure I had the week off after round 2, and then I got another one in round 3.
Okay.
And then everyone started, everyone I look or everyone I talked to was talking to me about head knocks and this and that. And it seemed like every time I was playing, there was a spotlight on me. So every little concussion, or every little head knock I got, was spoken about. So, and then round 4 off, and I think from memory I might have got another one in round 5, and then I kind of had a bit of a break from there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then, it just kind of snowballed from there, and hurt my back at training, so I had 6 weeks off just because I had a bulging disc in my back, and so nothing was really good. But it was in hindsight, it was kind of, I suppose, a good thing because it gave me an extra 6 weeks to kind of rest up. But didn't really do much help because I think I'm pretty sure it was my first game back. Might have been my second game back. I copped that one from Faylonga that eventually ruined the end of my career.
We see the NRL taking head knocks pretty seriously these days and concussions.
Yeah.
Do you think they're doing a good job, or do you think there's still more that they can do about this issue?
Mate, you know what? It's so hard. It's such a tender. I remember James Graham's interview. Remember when he was got interviewed and he was on 360 and he said that he wanted to take it into his own hands. He goes, I want to make this. When you're in that football bubble, and footy's the only thing. Basically, footy's the only thing you think of, and you kind of don't think about yourself. You kind of you think about the team and you want to play, and that's just the mentality of a footy player kind of thing, So, but you need to, once you retire and footy's not the biggest part of your life anymore.
Yeah.
You kind of realise, oh, geez. But at the time, I don't think I was ever going to retire ever, but my wife kind of was like, I don't think you should play anymore. She was kind of explaining to me, and then she was reading all the reports from the doctors, and they never said to you should retire, Liam, because they don't know enough about it. They kind of would just say, if you cop another head knock, it could be catastrophic. And that was kind of something, well, maybe, but as I said, once you're in that football mentality, it's not, it won't happen to me, I'll be fine. So I'm so grateful that I did stop when I was 29. And there were other players that stopped when they were younger as well. I mean, Adam Docker. Do you remember Adam Docker?
Oh, yep.
He's just smashed, man. He was like an absolute meat axe tackler. But he was awesome player. Man, he retired early as well. With everything that's come out about concussions and that kind of stuff, he must be pretty grateful now that he did, because I'm kind of, as I said, I'm kind of glad I did retire when I did. As much as I wanted to keep playing, and I felt like I still had K's in my legs to keep going. I'm so grateful now looking back. I've got 3 young daughters, so I kind of want to be around as long as possible. And now hearing the diagnosis, obviously from James Graham, you kind of going, okay, geez, it's pretty serious. And the retired players that have died, and they've had CTE and all that kind of stuff. So you kind of want to limit those head knocks, and the way that how can the NRL fix it? It's probably past my pay grade, but there's not exactly sure, but like the NFL, they don't do as much contact at training, because you do more tackles at training than you do during the game. You might do 40 tackles in a game, but you've got to do a lot of tackling at training. A hell of a lot of tackling.
Yep.
And those little head knocks in training, and there's no doctors there, and I don't know how they're going to fix it. But it's just unfortunately it's just part of the game, really.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough sport, and these things are going to happen, and I guess the players know the risk going into playing a sport like that.
Of course. But it's the junior participation. That's what's got to. Like, if you're, now that I've only got daughters, but if you have a son, you're like, oh, geez, do you really want him to cop head knocks? I don't know. At a young level, the impact's not as high, but progressing through, it obviously starts getting harder and harder and harder. But it's just a don't know. It's too hard. I'm not sure.
It is a tough one, definitely, for sure. Talk about these days. Do you still watch the NRL, and what do you think of
Yeah,
the
man, I
game
do,
now
man.
compared to when you played?
Yeah, man, I do, man. They're a lot bigger and stronger. But it's hard to compare eras. I do enjoy watching. I still love watching the game. I don't like it when it stops too much. I know they're trying to get every decision correct, but sometimes you get decisions wrong. I don't mind watching some of the games. The women's game, all on the field, and they just get on with it. That's a try, or they just make the best decision they can. Touch judge. And referee, and generally they get it right, but when they keep slowing it down with the bunker and all that kind of stuff, it kind of, look, the bunker for tries is all right, but when the bunker's making decisions on, during the game, stopping the game, I don't like that too much, but mate, I do love watching the game still. It's kind of, during the off season is pretty difficult, because you miss the footy on the weekends, but yeah, man, I still love watching them. I really like watching the Cowboys with Tony Payton, the coach, the way they play. And hopefully the Tigers can get better, but we just have to wait and see, because looking forward to seeing how Benji goes as coach, and Sheensy and Farah, those guys are working together, so that should be pretty interesting to watch. Hopefully they go good.
Did you ever sense whilst playing with Benji and Robbie that they would become coaches in the NRL?
Oh, mate, you could definitely tell. Like, they were so intelligent. Farah was like, attention to detail was really, just the way that he understood all the game plans and whatnot. Whereas I was kind of like, mate, with the fairies, not even thinking about it.
Yeah.
And Benji, I played a lot on the same side as Benji, and he goes, he used to say to me, he goes, don't even listen to the game plan. He goes, I'm going to tell you what to do when we're out there. I'm like, all right, sweet. That was his kind of. I was like, no, I don't have to do that. He goes, no, you do what I tell you to do. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, fair
So
enough.
he was kind of like just my boss, basically, out there, just telling me what to do. So you run this line and I'll do this, and so he was kind of good.
Well, yourself as a accomplished coach, winning a Group 6 title in 2017 with the Campbelltown City Kangaroos. Any thoughts of becoming an assistant to Benji when he becomes head coach?
Mate. Yeah, well, Sheensy rang me during the year when he came back from England. Must have been earlier in the year, and he said to me, "Do you want to coach be the assistant coach for the Jersey Flag?"
Yeah.
But mate, there's just not enough time. It's not an aspiring coach. It's a lot of effort and a lot of time. It's time consuming. I've got young daughters, so mate, I'll basically be out most weekends, and I think it's like 3 to 4 nights a week training, at night. So a lot of pressure on my wife and her business and whatnot. So, I kind of just steer clear of that. But, maybe if I win the lotto, mate, then I'd have to work. So,
Nah, that's it. Well, you just mentioned there not enough time to coaching. What is keeping you busy these days?
Yeah, mate. So I have a mortgage broking business that I run. I've been doing that for basically when I retired, 7 years. About 7 years ago, I opened that and started getting that all up and running. And I also have like the amusement machines, skill testing machines like the car racing and toy and chocolate machines and that. So I do them. Have maybe about 5 or 6 sites there, and have to do that, on the weekends and that. So it keeps me busy.
Is there any secret tricks to the skill testers to win prizes, or not really?
The more you put in, the more you'll get back.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, mate. You should. Yeah, it's a tough one, mate. You got to stay as close as you can to the toy. A lot of kids always try and get a particular toy, but you got to take the easiest toy that's ready to go.
There you go, kids.
Closest toy to the top.
There you go, kids. There's the tip from Liam. Now, I've got some common league questions brought to you by the Stubby Club, one of the proud sponsors of the podcast. Taking out your debut game and obviously the grand final, is there a favourite game that you played in, one you thought, oh, geez, I really enjoyed that game?
We played Cronulla at Leichhardt, and I scored 2 tries, and it was raining, and I always loved playing at Leichhardt.
Yeah.
And for some reason, you always want to play those Sunday afternoon sunny games at Leichhardt, but you just never get them there. It always seems to be raining there when you play But we played a Saturday night game there at Cronulla, and I had a decent game there, and I scored a couple of tries, and yeah, that was a memorable game for me. I liked that one.
Well, you mentioned Leichhardt Oval there. Taking out your home grounds, did you have a favourite
Yep.
ground that you used to love playing at?
Mate, I always loved going to Townsville.
Okay.
Because during winter, and we play them in winter, mate, you get off, it's just you're there for a couple of days and it's warm. It's just, and I really like playing there. I don't know why, but it was just we always had a bit of success versus the Cowboys.
Yep.
And I just liked going up there to Townsville. But I actually didn't mind doing a bit of travelling because we're in the, basically all the city teams we can just drive to.
Yep.
That was, Townsville was a pretty good trip.
What about a least favourite ground? One you hated playing
Least
at?
favourite. We didn't play too many there, but probably least favourite would have been Wollongong. I think I only played like 2 or 3 games there.
Okay.
It was just a pain to get to, and I just didn't. Yeah, it was just a drive that I didn't like going. And I think they used to give us a bit of a hide in there as well. So probably there Wollongong.
Yeah, no, that's
It's windy. It's always windy as
Yeah.
well. Windy and. Yeah,
right next to
I
the
didn't mind
ocean.
playing. I didn't mind playing there, but that was one that probably was going. She's got to play there again.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Well, I'm a big Para fan. What was it like playing against Parramatta during your career? Anything stand out for you?
Yeah, because I live around Parramatta, so I loved playing at Parramatta Stadium. It was like a home game for me.
Yeah.
But that was probably one of my favourite grounds as well, Para Stadium. I just love playing at Para Stadium. My father-in-law goes for Parramatta, and mate, he wouldn't stop. If Parramatta won the comp this year, he would not stop hassling me. So I'm glad they're not. I'm glad they didn't. You're probably a lot of Para fans there, but I would have copped it for the rest of my life.
No, that's fair enough. Who didn't you want to be tackled by? Who was the hardest hitter, do you reckon?
Mate, I don't know if you remember Nigel Plum.
Yeah.
Mate, We played reserve grade. He was at West's back in must have been 2003, might have been 2004 as well. He was at West, and he was only a skinny guy from the bush, and we used to always see people always off the kickoff when no one kind of knew him, used to run at him. Mate, he used to just annihilate people. He just had the best technique. He was always a skinny guy when he first came down to West, mate, but he had the best technique. Oh, mate, and anyone Adam Docker, he was another one that used to cut people in half. So those kind of guys, the bigger guys that they'll smash out, but with pure technique, you're looking at someone like Nigel Plum.
What about on the other side of the coin? Who was the hardest to tackle?
Mate, anyone that's short and stocky, they're the hardest. Matt Utai, when we used to play, he was the hardest to tackle. Any drills that you used to do at training, everyone used to steer clear of Matt Utai.
Yeah, no, his big thighs as well. That must
He
have
was
been
the
hard
hardest.
to get around. Who was it that you were glad that you had in your team and not on the opposition? Someone you felt like if they played, you were confident you were going to win.
So he's in my team. Someone that's in my team.
Yeah. So if you saw them suiting up for the day, you thought,
they always.
right.
I'd say probably Gareth Ellis.
Okay,
I used to love playing with Gareth Ellis. Because he was an intimidating guy. He was a big guy. He was the nicest guy I ever met. He would never hurt you off the field. Like at training, he would always go soft. But mate, as soon as he went on the field, he just turned into a complete animal.
Yeah, get that white line fever.
He was a beast, man.
What about you played with and against some champion players, but is there someone that you would have loved to have had in your team?
Who would I love to have had? Well, yeah, Cameron Smith. Obviously, we had Farah, but if we had someone like Farah wasn't with us, like Cameron Smith, man, he was pretty special. Oh man, he was a special player, man. Just watching him his whole career and playing against him, and man, he was I don't know, he was looked like an accountant, but he was just so durable.
Yeah.
And just play 80 minutes every week and played over 400 games, and that. So someone like him, would be good to play.
What about in today's game? Is there a player that you'd
game?
love to play with or against?
Munce, man, I'd love to be with Munce's team. I reckon he would be a good laugh as well off the field. So someone like maybe Muncer, I reckon he'll be good. Oh mate, look, you can't really go past Cleary, but Cleary to me, man, he's absolute machine. mate, I just love him. But to have on off the field, bro, say monster.
Well, speaking of that sort of player, I reckon if I asked your teammates, they'd probably say yourself. But who do you reckon was the larrikin or prankster during your time, and what did they get up to?
Mate, we had a lot, man. Bo Ryan was probably the most. Mate, he was on something. He was, mate, he used to always have to touch things, Bowie. Like, he was always touching things. And, man, he was such a good fun off the field. You know, so, Bo's my favourite for sure.
From yourself being a bit of a prankster, is that where Bozo, the nickname, came from?
Well, no, everyone thought that Bozo was from my Uncle Bob, but he wasn't my uncle, so I used to just say that Bob Fulton was my uncle, so everyone just kind of just used to be off Bozo.
Okay, yeah. There you go. There you go, there's a connection there. Who did you find in your teams or the opposition was the biggest pest or sledger on the field?
Oh, mate, it's hard to go past Ennis when I was playing.
Yeah.
On the opposition, mate, he was constantly into you all the time. He just didn't shut up. He's just because I played under 19s with him.
Yeah.
We were pretty good mates on the under 19 strip. He was a bit of pest. Greg Bird was on my under 19 strip as well. Yeah, it was good. It was a good laugh.
Greg Bird?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Are you speaking to him today?
Yeah, I am, later today, so yeah. What was some of his sledges?
Mate, you got to ask when you speak to Greg today. You got to ask him about what happened in the under 19 strip at the end in Papua New Guinea. Ask him.
Yeah. No
Just throw
worries.
that at him. See what he says.
All right, will do. Well, to wrap things up, I've got the personality questions. With the segment that I call a set of six.
Yep.
What's your favourite sport outside of rugby league?
Probably cricket.
Yeah.
Probably cricket. Yeah, mate, I love cricket. I like watching NFL. Probably my favourite to watch would be NFL. But mate, I love watching cricket.
Who's your team in the NFL?
I like Kansas City. They're actually playing at the moment, so I'm not sure how they're going. But yeah, mate, Kansas. I just like watching. And I like watching Brady. I like watching Brady.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay. I don't get like fully into it, you know, but I try and put it on while I'm trying to do a bit of work.
Ah, nice. What's your specialty dish in the kitchen or on the barbecue?
Oh, mate. I mean, I'm more of a roast kind of guy.
Okay.
Yeah, I do my roasts. I'm a roaster. Do all the porks and lambs and whatnot. But I have a wood fire pizza. And
nice.
With the wood fire pizza, mate, I do the my dad put it into my house. When he moved away, he gave me one. Well, he installed one for me, so I could, because I used to get his one. So yeah, making the dough and putting all the pizza in there is pretty good.
What's the pizza of choice?
Oh, man, I like everything on there. Supreme, chili, I like to just stack it all on.
Nice.
So as long as it's nice and hot, nice and chilly,
Yeah.
it's all good.
Who is the most famous person you'd love to meet and have a chat with?
Oh, it's a tough one. Probably. I don't know that one. Don't know.
Maybe Tom Brady, maybe, or
mate, Donald Trump.
okay.
Mate, imagine having to sit down and chat with Donald Trump. Bloody hell. Maybe it'll be hectic.
His name gets mentioned a couple of times when I asked
Does
that
it?
question. Yeah,
Does it?
yeah.
Yeah,
So
mate,
he's a
you think
very
about it.
intriguing person.
Yeah, that's right.
Time for you to give up some former teammates, but if you were stuck on a deserted island, which three former teammates wouldn't you want to be stuck with and why?
Bo Ryan will be one, mate. He'll talk your ear off. Mate, I love Farah, but I wouldn't want to be on the deserted island with Farah as well. Farah for sure, yeah, because he would, mate, he would. And who I wouldn't want, mate, if I was on there, I would want someone that can fish, man. So I'd take Robert Louis if I could take someone.
Okay, yeah.
Mate, Robert Louis was an awesome fisherman, and mate, he's I think it's from the Torres Strait Island. Mate, he used to, mate, he'll be able to catch us turtles and mate, whatnot. Mate, he was good.
Well, that's pretty smart, actually, having someone like that on there. Yeah, so that's great. If rugby league wasn't your career, what profession do you think you would have been doing or maybe wanted to do growing up?
Jeez, mate, if you asked my dad, he probably would have said I'd been in jail, I reckon. There you go, you'd been in jail. But I don't know. If I didn't play footy, I would have no idea what I would have done because, mate, I put all my eggs in one basket
Okay, yeah.
and just hoped, mate. And to be honest, I don't know because I'm not good with my hands. So, building or carpentry, I wouldn't be able to do any of that. Mate, I got no idea. That's a hard one, man.
Yeah.
Don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have fallen into this path because
Okay.
into broking or anything like that. So I'm not sure. That's a hard one. Never thought of that.
No, that's fair enough. And the last one, who is your favourite band or solo artist to listen to?
Mate, I love Coldplay, eh?
Oh, yep. Yeah.
Yeah, I love Coldplay.
What's your favourite Coldplay song?
Oh, mate, I like them all. Mate, what's the recent one that's coming out? I get into those ones, man. I try, mate. I try to be relevant, but mate, never really am.
Yeah, the only one I ever think of Coldplay is Paradise.
Paradise, yeah, man. I got that one. Paradise,
Yeah.
mate. Yellow. Mate, I just basically put them on. I just put them on. Viva La Vida. There's heaps.
Yeah.
Scientist. I love that. Coldplay's good.
Yeah, champion. Now, well, Liam Fulton, thank you very much for your time and your chat today. I really enjoyed it and appreciate your time and
No
chat.
worries, mate.
Look, I'm sure the fans will love it too, and it's great to chat to a player, watch play his whole career. I hope to catch up one day and say good day. So, Liam
Good
Fulton,
to go, Troy.
thank you very
Thanks,
much for
mate.
coming on the Para Cave podcast today.
Pleasure, mate. Thank you.
Well, welcome back, and thanks for listening to Liam Fulton and his rugby league and life story. I really enjoyed it. I hope you did too. It was great to chat with a player who I watched play his whole career, and I hope to one day catch up with Liam and say hi. I also thank him for his time and his chat. It was really enjoyable. Once again, a quick shout out and thanks to Jack's Pale Ale, a fantastic major sponsor of the podcast, for supporting the podcast. Don't forget, Jack's Pale Ale is back and available to purchase in the club shop. Perfect for that Eels fan or beer lover. Drop into the club shop and get some today. And also keep an eye out on the Parramatta Leagues Club social media channels as well to see what's happening at Parramatta Leagues Club week to week. Thanks also to co-sponsor Shannon Cooney from the Merrick Property Group, who you heard at the top of the podcast. Contact Shannon for all your Penrith and Lower Blue Mountains real estate needs, either buying or selling. And if you are buying, then you may need Bo Cook from Loan Market and his loan financial services. You can contact him on 0401 213 236. Get in contact with him for a free chat and see how he and his team can help you get on top of your home loan and find you that best deal. And also the Stubby Club as well. Don't forget to head to www.thestubbyclub.com.au and order your NRL merchandise today. Don't forget your Paracave discount code, which you will save 10% off your purchases. Christmas is just around the corner, so perfect time to get that special someone, that special present, and head to that Stubby Club website and get one today. Please support these businesses that support the podcast, that help bring you quality entertainment each week, and share the love on socials as well. Thank you once again to you who is listening right now for listening to Lee Odenryan and his rugby league story. It certainly was interesting. There were some great stories in there. It was great to go down memory lane and listen to a few of Lee's rugby league stories. Eventually one day it will be posted on YouTube, as well as it was a Zoom video chat. So one day keep your eye out for that one on the Paracave Podcast YouTube channel. What was your favourite story? Let me know on the socials or leave a review and comment on the Apple Podcast site or your podcast platform, listening platform site. Thank you to you, the listeners, for listening. And don't forget, if you haven't already done so, if you're a new listener, subscribe to the podcast so as soon as it drops, you'll be able to listen to it. You'll also be able to catch myself on Pulse FM each week on a Friday and a Sunday, talking the Rugby League World Cup these days, now that the NRL season has finished, with the Duckman himself on Duckman's Weekend Sports Wrap show. It's usually about 6:20pm each week, and it's on 89.9 FM radio, so keep an ear out for that one. And thank you once again to the official media partner of the podcast, the Parramatta Times. For all your local Parramatta news, simply head to www.parramattatimes.com.au. In the meantime, stay safe wherever you are listening from in this world of ours, and enjoy the Rugby League World Cup, or indeed the T20 Cricket World Cup, which is also on at the moment. But speaking of the Rugby League World Cup, a shout out and thank you to all the listeners from the USA, UK, New Zealand, Ireland, France, and of course, the bulk of my listeners are from Australia. So thank you very much for listening and the support of the podcast. I really appreciate it. And I hope that you enjoy it. And if you do, please leave a comment from where you're listening from and what you enjoy about the podcast. Have a great week as best you can, and I'll catch you next week for episode 118. As I said in the intro, a few weeks to go of this year of the podcast before I take a little bit of a break for 2022. But stay tuned to the socials to see who is coming up next. And if, by all means, if you want to send a DM on socials, go ahead. I'm always up for a chat about the greatest game of all, chat about the Rugby League World Cup, also Parramatta Eels if you want to have a chat, or if you simply would like to see who you would like to hear on the show, just send me a message and I'll see if I can get them on the show for a chat. But to sign off the show, and as I always say, the Para Cave podcast, by the fan, for the fans. Go Para! Go Australia in the World Cup.